Hello, welcome to Johnny English. Today what I'd like to talk to you about is idiomatic expressions, ways of speaking that we as native speakers use to communicate on an everyday basis. It's not formal language and you don't usually use this kind of speech or communication when you write in a formal way or speak formally. But it's very, very common for us to use expressions that can sometimes confuse learners of English. Now, many of you will probably be familiar with a very famous sitcom from the United States called Friends. And Joey Tribbiani's favourite catchphrase was, "How you doing?" Now that "how are you doing," as we would say in English, can sometimes confuse people. Also, how's it going is another expression that can sometimes confuse learners of English. Now the reason that is because very often people hear part of the expression. They hear a question word, how, but then they also hear a verb, going, doing. And what most learners of English will quickly recognise is that going and doing don't go with the word how. Going is usually associated with where, and doing is usually associated with what. So when they hear how are you doing or what are you doing, it can create that moment of, well, what does this person want from me? And very often when I ask that question, there is a moment of thought by the learner, and more than once, in fact many times, I've received the response to how are you doing? It's been, what am I doing now, do you mean? Or I've said, how is it going? And they've said, well, I'm not going anywhere. Or when do you mean? Where are you going? So they've heard going and doing, and they've in their mind associated the question word with the normal question word that goes with it. And that's where the confusion can sometimes come with these idiomatic expressions. So what I'd like to encourage you to do, because how are you doing and how is it going, they both mean basically the same thing. They're just questions about your health, about how life is. It's a genuine request for information about how your mental health is, how your physical health is, how is the family, what's happening in your job, that kind of question. So what I'd like to encourage you to do, as always, is to look out for these expressions. Look for them in things you watch, in things you listen to. Think about how these expressions are used by people who speak English well. And if you feel that, because there are many of them, these are just two expressions, but there are many of them, and I'd like to ask you to just look out for these and see how they're used. And if you feel you could use them, use them. If you find another one that you like the look of, try and understand how it's used, and then use it. And in that way, your speech will gradually improve, and you'll become much more confident and competent in using English. So once again, thank you for tuning in. I'll ask you to, if you enjoyed the video, if you think it's helpful and useful, tell your friends, and really try and practice these things that we speak about in our videos. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.